This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Just on the heels of the Progressive Liberal Party's 2022-2023 fiscal year of the national budget presentation by Prime Minister Philip Davis, the finance minister is defending his government's decision in allocating an additional $4.1 million to travel expenses in the upcoming fiscal year. The Prime Minister telling reporters Monday afternoon that although there is an additional $4.1 million allocated, that does not mean that the entire budget will be exhausted. This also comes as the opposition has heavily criticized the government's spending on travel since coming to office.
Well, we don't know what travels we'll have in the coming year. And until we understand it, it's an allocation. It doesn't mean that it'll be used. The fact that we allocate it doesn't mean it has to be used. It is there to cover unforeseen travels that may come up. There are certain travels that has to be made by ministers that's related to their specific portfolios. There are certain travels that I have to make as it relates to me as leader of the country. There are leaders' summit throughout the year that I have to attend. And so that allocation is for is to ensure that it's covered when we are able to travel.
Travel budget for just about every government agency is seeing an increase, particularly the Ministry of Tourism and Investments in Aviation, which is seeing a travel increase of over $1 million, up from less than $250,000 in the 2021-22 budget cycle. The Ministry of Finance travel budget more than doubled, increasing from $138,000 to more than $280,000, with the Office of the Prime Minister seeing an increase of nearly $250,000 from $391,911 in 2021-2022 to $525,424 this coming fiscal year. These travel budgets include both domestic and international travel. No cases of monkeypox confirmed in the Bahamas to date, and that's according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. An outbreak of monkeypox has been confirmed by the World Health Organization earlier this month in at least 20 countries. In a statement on Sunday, health officials say at present the National Disease Surveillance Unit is monitoring an individual who arrived in the Bahamas last weekend with a travel history of locations where outbreaks have occurred. That individual, who is in his mid-30s, has been placed in isolation, and samples have been obtained for processing. His only known contact is his wife, who is not showing any signs of monkeypox, according to the health officials. According to the World Health Organization, there are nearly 200 cases of monkeypox worldwide. However, the WHO officials also say that the disease is containable. Symptoms of the monkeypox include skin rash, fever, headaches, backaches, swollen lymph nodes, chills, and exhaustion. Symptoms can last for 2 to 4 weeks. The death rate associated with the disease is low, ranging between 3 to 6% of people infected. Local physicians across the country have been placed on alert and asked to continue surveillance for any individuals who may present with signs and symptoms of the monkeypox. Anyone who feels that he or she has these symptoms are asked to practice health and safety protocols, physical distancing, wearing of face masks, and hand sanitizing, and contact their primary physician or nearest public health clinic for evaluation at the earliest opportunity. The Ministry of Health and Wellness confirming 54 COVID-19 cases on Friday, May 27th, 46 on Saturday, May 28th. That's 100 new cases confirmed. A total of 83 cases were confirmed on New Providence, 11 on Grand Bahama, 5 on Eleuthera, and 1 on Exuma. 38 of these new cases with a travel history, including 36 from New Providence and 2 residents of Grand Bahama. Active cases in the country now at 881, with 17 people in hospital, all of them considered to be moderately ill. No new deaths were reported. The death toll remains at 810. 55 people recovered from COVID-19 over the weekend. We have seen many of our neighbors like Florida and other Caribbean countries exhaust their conch supply, which are virtually extinct in some areas of the region. To avoid that happening here in the Bahamas and to protect the conch species for future generations to enjoy, the government has taken some significant steps. We hear more in this next report. Ever been to your favorite conch stall for a mouth-watering conch salad, or your favorite restaurant for a scrumptious cracked conch snack, and they tell you, no conch? And your reply, you serious? What you mean no conch? Well, the government is trying to prevent that from happening. Last week, while presenting the 2022-2023 budget, Prime Minister Philip Davis announced the formal prohibition of the export of conch in commercial quantities. Love 97 JCN asked a few residents their thoughts on the announcement. There were some Bahamians like Leonte Burrows who has had an experience where there was no conch, but has mixed emotions about the prohibition of exports.
My aunt's husband actually sell conch from Bimini, and that has happened several times. And it is a problem. And the thing about it is they make the people that export it, they make so much money from exporting it. But then we end up on the next end. We don't end up with any here for us to have in our restaurant. So, I don't know if I think they should stop it completely, maybe limit it to a certain amount, but to stop it completely, because then the money that the persons who do export it make, and some of those persons, they just have that solely as their business, then that's a problem for them.
Then there were those like Chantel Stirrup, who does not think it is a good idea to stop conch exports. She also gave a recommendation on how to sustainably continue with conch exports and at the same time prevent the overfishing of the conch species.
I think it's a good idea to export because we import so many things. So it'll be in our best interest to at least export something, to the country, and conch will be being a commodity that it is and a staple on our menu. It'd be good to share it with whoever they're exporting it to and make some money off it. Then maybe they should regulate the conch and have it in seasons so that the conch could replenish itself, and then we'd have enough to sustain us and for exportation purposes.
Unlike the lobster, there is currently no conch season in the Bahamas and no limit on how many mature conch a fisherman can catch per day. The Prime Minister said the goal behind the prohibition is to encourage sustainable fishing of this precious resource so there will be conch for future generations. While giving an overview of the budget last week on Talk Radio, Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis explained the reduction in conch exports has been taking place for several years now.
My understanding from the Minister of Agriculture is effectively we don't do it anymore because of what they call it, CITES, C-I-T-E-S, the trade in endangered species, where over the past few years we have been, this is my understanding, we've been continually decreasing the quota of the amount of conch that can be exported, and so that now it's really not exported in commercial quantities. And I think what is being done is just to put that in the law.
Meanwhile, Michael Pintard, leader of the official opposition and former Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, said the opposition is in support of the prohibition of commercial conch exports, as it is a policy that began under the Minnis administration. Additionally, to replace any potential loss in revenue as a result of the ban on conch exports, Mr. Pintard suggests Bahamians be incentivized to explore the harvesting and exporting of other marine species like deep-sea snapper and various species of tuna. And finally, on Tuesday, May 31st, stakeholders at the Lyndon Pindling International Airport, the LPIA, will conduct a full-scale emergency exercise. The exercise will have a drill scenario that will begin at 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday with a call to Nassau Airport Development Company's Operations Center from Air Traffic Services concerning an aircraft inbound to LPIA from Rock Sound, Eleuthera, with 60 people, including crew, on board. The aircraft will be reported as having engine trouble and will be involved in a simulated crash. Local and international aviation regulations mandate that a full-scale emergency exercise should be conducted at intervals of not exceeding 2 years to evaluate the emergency plan. The exercise was previously scheduled for May 18th. And that'll do it, folks, for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thanks for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.